About the coordinate plane. I did put some resources in the Get Help document already on this, but I wanted to cover it in our live session as well, just because this is one of those lessons that's very important that you start studying it now and getting the hang of it, because you're going to see it in all of your math classes in the future. We work a lot with the coordinate plane in our algebra classes. We work a lot with it in our geometry classes. So you'll see this a lot, and it'd be awesome if you could just go ahead and understand it and get used to it now, so that when you see it in the future, you're already ahead of the game there. So that's what we're going to do. I am going to change the chat just to where you can still type in it, but it'll only go to me, just because during the lesson it can get distracting. At the end, if we have time, I'll change it back to where y'all can talk to each other some too. Okay. All right, so for the coordinate plane, we have what we call axes. That's plural for axis. So we have a y-axis and we have an x-axis, and it makes this little T shape like you see here. So the axes go forever and ever in both directions. So it goes forever up, forever down, forever left, forever right. So I'm going to put those arrows there just to show that it keeps going. So the x-axis is the horizontal axis. Does anybody know what horizontal means? What does horizontal mean? Yeah, that's the one that goes left to right. Okay, that's our x-axis. Change this real quick. There we go. This is our x-axis. Okay, it goes left to right, so it's the horizontal axis. And then our y-axis is the vertical axis. Yeah, so that means it's the vertical axis means it's the one that goes up and down. So this would be our y-axis. Okay, it's important to know the difference between the x-axis and the y-axis, because if you get them confused and you're plotting points, for example, which is what we're going to be doing today, then you're going to plot your points wrong, and it's going to make your answers wrong in whatever problems you're working. Okay, so it is important. And if we're looking at this with just looking at data, so if you were looking at it in the real world, not just taking a math test, you would want to know the correct axes so that you could understand the data correctly. Okay, so somewhere that we've seen some data recently that you might have, seen a little bit is talking about the curve for the coronavirus, right? They keep saying flatten the curve. That's a little different than what we're going to look at in sixth grade is mostly plotting points and linear datas. But when we're talking about the curve with the virus, they're talking about data. So just being able to read data correctly is important so that we know exactly what we're looking at. Yeah. Okay, so we've got our x-axis, we have our y-axis. There are points, or there are data points along each axis. So they each go, let's see, let me change the color a little bit. So this is our positive x-axis, starting at the origin, which is the center right here. That's called our origin. Everywhere we go to the right are positive x values. Okay, so I could number those 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Let me let some people in real quick. Sorry, I gotta turn this toy off. Just a second. Okay. So all the points to the right on the x-axis starting at the origin are positive values. And then all the points to the left, if we go to the left from the origin, are negative values. So at the origin it is exactly 0, and then we start going to the negative values. Okay, and so on. It would just keep going down. Okay, and then the same thing is true for the y-axis, except we're going up and down now. So if we go up on the y-axis, do you think that's going to be positive values or negative values? if I start from the origin and start going up? Yeah, it's going to be positive. Okay, so we could go up. Well, let me do this on the other side actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, going up. And then if we go down from the origin, those are going to be our what? Negative values. Perfect. -1, -2, -3, -4, and then it would just keep going. Okay, so that's how our axes work. We have positive x values to the right, negative x values to the left, positive y values up, and negative y values down. So this is important for us to know what direction everything goes, is because when we start plotting points, we need to know where to put them. So first, let's talk about what makes an ordered pair. When we're plotting points, we use ordered pairs. So an ordered pair is two numbers inside a set of parentheses separated by a comma. So I'm just going to make the first one 0, 0. So we have two numbers with a comma between them inside a set of parentheses. That's an ordered pair. When we have an ordered pair, the first value is always, 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 I cannot stress that enough, always, the first value is always our x value. Yeah, that's right. And the second value in our ordered pair is always, always, always our y value. Exactly. So if we have an ordered pair 0, 0, that means our x value is 0 and our y value is 0. So we start with our x-axis and we find 0 on the x-axis. Okay, well that's right here at the origin. And then we go to our y-axis and we find 0 on our y-axis, which is also in the middle, not up or down any at all. So the point 0, 0 is exactly the origin. So this is our origin every time on a coordinate plane. 0, 0 is always the origin. Yes, okay, so I know y'all can't see each other's chats, but someone said, I think of it like the ABCs and X is before Y. That's true. So you could think of it that way. Just know that the first value in an ordered pair is X and the second is Y because they go in order by your ABCs, alphabetical order. Good point. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so let's look at another ordered pair. This one I'm going to do a little different. It's not going to be the origin. It's going to be 3, 4. Okay, so our first value is always our x value, right? So in this ordered pair, our x is equal to 3 and our y is equal to 4. So we start with our x-axis and we say we want to find positive 3 on the x-axis. So what direction am I going to go to get to positive 3? Right, exactly. We want to go right to do positive values, just like a number line. Okay, all the positive values are on the right of 0, all the negative values are on the left of 0. So I want to go positive 3, which means I need to go right 3 units on the x-axis. So I find 3 on the x-axis. I'm going to put an x there instead of a point so that I don't get it confused with where my actual point for this ordered pair is going to go. So I found my x equals 3. Now I need to find y equals 4. So I need to find my y-axis and find positive 4. Yes, which means I need to go up 4 since it's positive. So here's up 4 on the y-axis. Okay, so now I need to know the point at which those meet. So if when I found my x equals 3, I could do like a little imaginary or a dashed line up from there. And my y equals 4 was here, so I could do another dashed line across. And the point is going to go where they intersect. So 3, 4 is this point here. Does that make sense? Cool. Let's do another one. Let's say this time our ordered pair is 0, -2. Okay, so what is our x value from this ordered pair? 0. And what is our y value? -2. Good. So we're going to start by finding 0 on the x-axis. Okay, 0 on either axis is at the origin right in the middle there. So I'm going to put an x here again so we don't get it confused with a point. And then our y value is -2. So my y-axis is the up and down axis, the vertical axis. So where do I go to get to -2? Left, right, up, or down? Exactly. It's the y-axis, so I have to go down to get to the negative values, and it's -2, so I go down 2, which would be right here. Okay, so since our x value was 0, it's going to be on the y-axis, so we don't have to go left or right at all. And since our y value was -2, that's where our point will be, right there. Okay, so that one is on the axis itself because the x value is 0. All right, let's do one more example. This time we're going to have both negative values. Let's say it's -1, -3. So our x value is what? -1, and our y value is -3. So we're going to start by finding -1 on the x-axis. So do I go left, right, up, or down to find -1 on the x-axis? Left, exactly. So left 1 would be right here where I put that green X. Then my y value is -3, so do I go left, right, up, or down? Down 3, which is right here. Okay, so I'm going to have to erase these numbers just so that we can see the point once we plot it. So -1 was here, so I'm going to draw a dashed line going down from that. -3 was here for the y-axis, so I'm going to do a dashed line going out across. And where they intersect is where my point goes. So they intersect right here. So this is the point, -1, -3. Yes, that's fine. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about with the coordinate plane are the quadrants. So you've probably seen these if you've done this lesson. If you're looking at it like a T shape, it's got 4 sections, right? It's kind of split into 4 squares. So each square or each section is its own quadrant. Okay, that's just kind of another fancy word for section. Okay, so when we're looking at quadrants, I'm going to do a new, since that one's getting pretty busy, I'm going to do another coordinate plane here. All right, so if this is my coordinate plane, again, I know that this is my y-axis and this is my x-axis. The quadrants start at positive, positive, so the positive x-axis here, this is the positive side of the x-axis, this is the positive side of the y-axis. So this is quadrant 1, and I'm writing in Roman numerals because that's usually how we see it in coordinate plane. So Roman numeral 1. And then we just keep going in a counterclockwise pattern. So then we would go over here to the top left, and it would be quadrant 2. And then we would go down, so the bottom left is quadrant 3. And then we'd go back across, so the bottom right, which would be quadrant 4. Which, again, Roman numerals for all this. Well, at least we only have to go to 4 for these Roman numerals. So again, it starts at the positive, positive, or the top right with quadrant 1, and then you just go counterclockwise, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the reason we want to know that is because sometimes it won't even ask you to plot the point. It'll just say which quadrant does the point 3, -2 lie in. Okay, so it didn't ask you to plot it, but it would be helpful to plot it just so that you could go ahead and see it and visualize it. But the question wants to know which quadrant. So if it's 3, -2, we know x is 3, +3, and y is -2. So we would go +3 or right on the x-axis, and then we would go -2 or down on the y-axis, and we would put it where those intersect, which would be right here. I didn't draw the dashed lines, but I'll draw them real quick. That's where that would intersect there. So which quadrant would we say then? Oh yeah, you've already said it. Yeah, quadrant 4. And I erased it to have room for the point. So our answer would be quadrant 4. Does that make sense? Cool. All right, you guys are doing awesome. And if this is, if you're doing well with this, then keep it up, because again, you're going to see this forever in math, and it's just going to help you that much more if you've already got it down when you see it later. And it's just really important that you get those ordered pairs. You got that order correct, x comma y, and that you know how to plot them. Good deal. Okay, well, that's all I have for today. Does anybody have any specific questions that I can cover before I let y'all go? Okay. I don't have a quizzes game today, sorry. I can look for one and I'll send it in as an email though. I'll look for one or make one that will be good for y'all and I'll email it to you.